Okay, let's dive in. We're taking a really close look today at a foundational text, Galatians chapter 5. It gets right to the core of, well, what genuine spiritual maturity actually looks like. If you've ever wondered, what's the real evidence of spiritual life, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Absolutely. It's such an essential passage if you're trying to define partnership, purpose, all of that.
Right.
And our mission today is pretty specific, really laser focused. We need to unpack this distinction. The one Reverend Dr. Eric Peters analysis really brings out. It's the difference between the gifts of the Spirit and the fruit of the Spirit.
That distinction, yeah.
It gets confused a lot, doesn't it, in modern practice? But the sources we're looking at, they make it pretty clear why the fruit is, well, the truly reliable sign of a real connection.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that. Where does Paul begin? Context is key, right?
Exactly.
He sets the stage in verses 13 and 14 with freedom, called into liberty. Sounds great, like that's the goal.
It does sound like the ultimate win, yeah.
But then, bam, he immediately puts this huge condition on it.
Yeah.
Don't use that freedom for, the flesh, for self-indulgence.
Use it differently.
Use it by love. Serve one another.
It's this amazing paradox, isn't it? Liberty isn't just freedom from something. It's freedom to choose the highest thing, which is love.
Okay.
The whole deal kind of collapses down to that one action right there in verse 14. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So practical.
Very practical. The sources really stress that. The focus isn't supposed to be on personal spiritual highs or amazing powers right away. It's about how this new freedom shows up in your relationships day to day.
And straight away, there's this warning. It's quite stark, actually. Verse 15, it talks about community breakdown.
Yeah. But if you bite and devour one another,
take heed that ye be not consumed one of another.
That's not just disagreeing, is it? That sounds like mutual destruction. It is. It's self-destruction. And the analysis connects this right back to the main point. Without those character qualities, the fruit we'll get to, the whole idea of community, of partnership, just eats itself.
It fails.
It fails. When character's lacking, relationships turn toxic. You get that spiritual or even emotional cannibalism he's warning about. You actually put other people's spiritual lives at risk if you don't have character.
And that danger comes from inside, doesn't it? Paul talks about this internal war constantly happening.
Right, verse 17. The flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. They're opposites, contrary the one to the other.
They can't get along.
They literally can't. They aren't meant to coexist peacefully in the same space. The text makes it sound like an impossibility.
Okay.
Which is why the instruction isn't just, try harder to be good. It's walk in the Spirit, verse 16. You have to yield completely to one nature so you won't end up doing what the other nature wants.
So you choose which nature produces the results.
Exactly. And he lays out those results. 2 lists. Total contrast.
First up, the works of the flesh, verses 19 to 21. It's quite the list. Yeah. Adultery, fornication, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, strife, envying, murders, drunkenness. It covers a lot of ground.
It's a grim catalog, yeah. And what's really important to grasp here, according to the analysis, is that these aren't just random bad deeds. They're the consistent actions that come out of a particular nature.
The source matters.
So source matters. Dr. Peters' analysis calls them self-destructive, rebellious, and completely self-seeking. All at once. Think about idolatry today. Maybe not bowing to a statue, sure, but putting your ultimate trust or value in something else. Money, power, approval, pleasure.
Anything but God.
Right. And that self-focused nature, it naturally breeds strife and hatred. It's inevitable.
So those works sound, very visible, often spectacular in how they damage others.
They often are, yeah. And then the pivot, huge shift. Verses 22 and 23 give us the counterpoint, the famous one, the 9 qualities from the Spirit.
The fruit.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance.
And that kicker at the end, against such, there is no law.
Powerful statement.
So if the first list was actions coming from a selfish nature, this second list sounds more like the nature itself, produced by the Spirit.
That's a great way to put it. It's the nature produced by His influence.
Can we pause on some of these words?
Yeah.
Because honestly, things like long-suffering or temperance, they sound a bit old-fashioned. What do they mean for us practically right now?
That's fair. They can sound dated. Let's take long-suffering. It's more than just patience. It's patience plus perseverance. It's the ability to put up with difficulty, injury, offense over a long haul without snapping back.
Okay, endurance.
Endurance with grace. If the flesh produces that quick, explosive anger, long-suffering brings stability, reliable calm. You need that for partnership, right?
Absolutely. And temperance.
Self-control. That inward discipline that keeps the external desires, the impulses of the flesh, in check. It ensures you're governed by the Spirit, not just reacting. Vital.
And that line, against such there is no law. It's striking. These qualities are so inherently good, so stabilizing, they don't need rules against them.
Exactly. They regulate themselves in a way. They promote order, not the chaos the flesh brings.
Okay, this brings us right to the core comparison for this deep dive.
Yeah.
This character development, the fruit versus the more, let's say, outwardly powerful gifts, things like healing or prophecy. It does seem true, as the analysis points out, that modern faith often puts a lot of focus on the gifts, the spectacular stuff.
It does, and this raises a really challenging question for a lot of people. Why is the fruit treated as more fundamental? The sources are clear. The gifts are temporal. Tools to minister God's power to others, therefore the exercise of ministry. And yeah, they're appealing. They address immediate needs, the needy side of humanity. They're exciting, no doubt.
But hang on. If you're someone focused on making an impact, maybe you can heal, or you have a gift of prophecy. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Right.
Why wouldn't those amazing gifts be absolute proof of your character, your connection with God?
This is the absolute crux of the warning, and why character the fruit is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Our source analysis points right to Matthew 7. Remember, Jesus talks about people who did amazing things in the body. His name prophesied, cast out demons, mighty works.
Yeah, impressive stuff.
Very. But then he says, I never knew you. He rejects them. So the presence of a gift shows power, yes, but it is not a reliable sign of a genuine, deep internal relationship with God.
Wow. Okay, that completely reframes how you'd measure spiritual success. Activity isn't relationship.
Precisely. Spiritual activity is not the same as spiritual relationship.
So if gifts are outward power for service, then how do we define the fruit again?
The fruit is internal. It's character. Philip Graham Ryken, cited in the material, calls it the natural produce of his gracious inward influence.
Natural produce.
Yeah, it's not something you force or manufacture. It's the spontaneous, inevitable result of being connected to Christ, like sap flowing in a branch, that John 15 imagery. It's transformation of you.
I can see why it might be less appealing, though. Yeah. Sounds like hard work, constant self-examination.
It is less appealing to the flesh because it demands submission. It forces us to focus on becoming something our old nature hates. It's about character change, which can be slow, even painful.
Right.
Not the immediate buzz of giving or receiving some supernatural help. It's about becoming Christ-like, not just being powerful.
Let's dig into that case for character then.
Yeah.
Why the sources insist the fruit is mandatory for partnership, for community. There were 7 points highlighted.
That's right. 7 key reasons why fruit is essential. First, it's for everyone. No exceptions based on role or position. John 15 makes that clear. Every branch has to bear fruit, period.
Universal requirement. Okay.
Second, it's the tangible evidence of a real encounter with Jesus, the outward proof of an inward change. Just like Jesus said, you know a tree by its fruit. Matthew 7 again.
Makes sense. Third.
It links back to where you're planted, your environment, your source. Psalm 1 vibes. If you're drawing life from the Spirit, the fruit is the natural result.
Okay. Planted in the right place.
Point 4 is a neat linguistic point, actually. It's always fruit singular in the original Greek, even though there are 9 qualities listed.
Oh, interesting. Why singular?
It suggests they're not like separate items you pick from a list. Love, joy, peace.
Yeah.
They're all interconnected parts of one single unified character that the Spirit produces.
A whole package.
A holistic change. Got it. What's 5?
It revisits that nature versus action idea. The Spirit produces a consistent nature that yields fruit. The flesh just produces sporadic, often destructive actions or works.
Nature versus actions. Okay.
And 6 connects directly to community life. The fruit, love, patience, gentleness, gives us the actual character we need to deal with each other properly. It's the lubricant that stops that biting and devouring. It's essential for the stability of the family of God.
It holds things together.
Exactly. And point 7 kind of sums it all up. Developing the fruit makes us actually reflect Christ. That's the goal of maturity, not just being effective, but being like Him.
And that loops right back to verse 13 about serving one another perfectly. Those qualities the fruit produces: long-suffering, gentleness, peace. They determine how we serve. They ensure our service comes from love, stops us using our liberty to cause harm. It's character being built for the purpose of serving God by serving others.
So it sounds like there's a fundamental difference in how we're meant to operate. The mechanic, maybe, between obeying the law and walking in the Spirit.
Huge difference. It boils down to inward yielding versus outward performance. The law demands servitude. You do the duty because you have to.
Compliance.
Right. Temporary compliance, maybe.
Right.
But it doesn't change your nature. The Spirit requires submission, a total surrender of your will.
A different posture entirely.
Completely. And that submission is what allows the Spirit to produce the very nature, the fruit needed for loving service. Servitude gets you temporary performance. Submission leads to permanent transformation.
That is a profound difference. Okay, so bringing this all together for someone listening, we've established the fruit of the Spirit is the real evidence. It shows the life of the Spirit is actually active, like verse 25 says.
And it shows our dependency. John 15.5, without me, you can do nothing. The character is the proof of that connection, that dependency.
And it's the foundation for partnership.
It has to be. If we go back to that final image the source uses, the example with plates, it makes you think, right? If the goal is real partnership, real community, what are you putting on the table for other people?
What are you serving?
Is it the nourishment of love, joy, peace, the fruit, or is it the poison of the flesh, that biting and devouring that just destroys community?
So the real challenge isn't just don't do bad things. It's cultivate the inner nature, the fruit that makes those bad things, well, less and less possible, or maybe even impossible eventually.
That's the journey.
That's definitely something to reflect on. What's the nature of your production? Is your dependence on God showing up as visible, sustainable character, or is the focus maybe still lingering on the temporary actions, the more spectacular stuff? Perhaps exploring that idea of inward submission versus just outward performance is something you can dig into further this week.